how much research do you do before you buy a brand new car? You do weeks of research. You're going to do a lot of research before you drop $1,000 on a canoe. So you don't really care about the emojis. But when it comes to something like skincare or makeup, that is a very low AOV product that you can utilize emojis to get that extra ooh, that's really cute. Let me go ahead and try these out. And you get that kind of purchase. Anything under $100, it's okay to use emojis. Anything over, it depends on the niche, or it depends on the kind of audience that you have.
Hello to everyone, Anatoliy is here, and today in our Ecom Business podcast we're gonna be speaking to one of my guests today who is really doing great results for his clients. He's the agency owner on email marketing and SMS space, and I would like to tell you a bit more. He is the founder and owner of the Aspect agency, which is working with the e-commerce and DTC brands, which are helping them out to scale their brands with extra at least 30% of profitable revenue for their stores by just implementing their systems in email and SMS marketing direction. As well, what is important to know that their agency actually exists for over 3 years at the moment, and now they're already generating collectively for their clients over $500,000 every single month by using just email and SMS marketing, nothing else. So let's just welcome Nikita in our podcast, and I would like really to hear more about him, about his journey, and especially the technical side of everything what they are doing for their clients. What's up, Nikita? How are you doing?
Anatoliy, it's a pleasure to be on the podcast as a fellow listener. I just actually finished up listening to the Andrew Deitch podcast, so learned a ton there. And it's great to be on. I know we met at Agency Founders and we connected there, and we figured, why not spill the beans on everything that we're doing to your audience? Because I know they're just going to get a lot of value from it. To start off with, I think getting some background on how we were able to achieve those results for our clients is very important, because when people talk about email marketing, it's like, okay, cool, you guys just do email and SMS. All right, that's pretty simple, but you don't understand exactly how that integrates within our business. And that's where most e-com founders are wrong, because we not only started off with email and SMS, we've actually been doing email and SMS, Facebook ads, CRO, website, all the way in the beginning of the agency. I started off as a freelancer doing everything. As long as I got paid and as long as I knew how to do it properly, I did it. So we as a company come from knowing a lot of different marketing skill sets. And as well as our team is trained up that way. After realizing we couldn't do anything or couldn't do everything for our clients, Facebook ads were doing well for one client, but email wasn't doing well, or email was doing well for one client, but Facebook ads wasn't doing well. It came down to a point where I realized, we're making a big mistake here, and we need to transfer all of our attention onto email and SMS, because that's where we're getting the most amount of money returned for our clients. And that's where, we're having the highest client success rate and less churn. So we focus purely into email marketing and SMS marketing about a year and a half now. And we've been, we haven't looked back, and we've had great success with generating email and SMS revenue for our clients, like you mentioned. At this point, it's been 10 million in lifetime, or since we've started the agency, generated for our clients in email and SMS attributable revenue.
Wow, that's quite high. I mean, if we are speaking about email SMS only, first of all, it's a high profitable venue of the marketing, and secondly, it is consistent. So that's awesome to hear. And as well, what I would like to say, thank you for listening to the podcast. I appreciate that. And yeah, it's all about to share the value with our audience. And I really looking forward that today our guys and girls who listen to us will get some kind of bullet points and knowledge for how to implement, even on the basic level, the email and SMS marketing, until they will be able to get the email company on the board. So can you tell me, please, in your opinion, why email marketing, SMS marketing is so important for the brands which is already generating like tens and tens of $1 million on annual revenues. What's the reason for them to be on email SMS space as well? If they can just generate TikTok, they can generate through Facebook, all the traffic. What's the reason to connect to the SMS email marketing?
The way I see it is email and SMS are like a big insurance policy for your brand. I think that's the easiest way to outline what it actually does, because let's say you're having a great month or a great couple months on Facebook and TikTok and you're scaling, right? The ad algorithm is very unpredictable. And as you see on like D2C Twitter or on LinkedIn, people have great months and then things start to plummet, and then, ads break, or they scale up to a certain point and they reach a bottleneck and their CPA goes through the roof. Email helps protect against that, helps you still get a predictable amount of cash flow every month without fail. And it's a really easy way to, capture your audience and nurture your audience, so that way they keep coming back and repeating purchases. So I just see it as an overall win-win-win for any brand, whether it's D2C or even B2B, whichever industry you're in. Email marketing as a whole is just a great way for you to capitalize on the audience that you already have. Use it as an insurance plan against any bad months that you might have with advertising or lead generation. And just, keep your audience up to date and nurture your audience, so that way, maybe they're not ready to buy now, but they will be ready to buy in a few months or in a few weeks.
I 100% lover of the email SMS marketing. I was just really planning to hear from your words, like professional person who is in the industry, why it's important. And hopefully guys and girls who are listening us are understanding that really we are attributing the cold traffic through the social media platforms such as Facebook, TikTok, Google, Snapchat, whatever. But the main point that you paid for this traffic already, so you have all the data. And without utilizing the SMS and email marketing on the point of scaling, it's just you leaving thousands, even $100,000 on the table just because you're not use your warm audience who were visiting your website and left their emails, or who were purchased already from you. So you can create a subscription service idea for them, or just upsell them for some kind of different events like a New Year, Christmas, whatever. So like SMS email marketing, in my opinion, it's like must be in any kind of brand if you want to build a consistent revenue flow and especially automated revenue flow. Am I right?
Yeah, no, I'd say you hit the nail on the head with that point of leaving revenue on the table. That's one thing I did forget to cover is it's just an extra source of revenue for your store. If you're making $100K a month, that's just an extra $30K that you could be generating for your brand. And if you do plan to exit your brand or sell your brand, that's just going to add more to the multiple when you sell your brand. It's like, okay, cool. Why leave an extra 300 to 400K a year on the table for your business? And that's purely cash. You don't have to keep paying to acquire email users. They're just already there on your email list. So it's like, why not? And you are right in that sense where if brands aren't taking advantage of this, they are leaving anywhere. I think when we audit all of our clients, the average brand leaves around 100 to 150K a year in revenue just by not having their email channel optimized the right way with the flows, the automations, along with campaigns, as well as using SMS as a whole separate channel.
What's make difference between the hiring the agency and just like makes it up by itself because it's automated, you already have this data, as you said. So in your opinion, why does it make sense to hire the professional agency for your email marketing space to generate this extra revenue? If the person wanna do by themselves. I mean, maybe you had this kind of cases with common mistakes or whatever. I want really to understand what's, in your opinion, importance of the agency on the board.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a big argument that a lot of D2C founders have to make whenever they're in a position to either hire an agency or hire an in-house person to manage their internal email channel or SMS channel. I think there is a clear benefit to hiring an agency at a certain point in your business, whether you're at like 50 to 100K a month and above, where you can afford an agency to run your email channel. Number one, the email agency has a ton of experience. They live, breathe, work on emails every single day. They know the right email strategies. They're paying attention to new strategies. They're always testing. So you have that insight and knowledge of someone that does it all the time. They're an expert at it. Again, you also have experience from different industries. The email agency, especially with us specifically, we work in only e-com, but we work in different industries like skincare, automotive, fashion and apparel. We know, let's say, a specific way to do a product drop has worked really well for fashion and apparel. It's like, okay, cool. How can we take the same exact concept and move it over to automotive so that way they can crush it with their new product drop that they're releasing? So there's expertise doing it daily. There's expertise in working with different clients. And honestly, I think it's way more affordable. A really good example of this was a client that we had in the past. They had, I think they were doing about 300 to 400K a month in revenue. And they were doing, out of email, they were doing 20K a month. So it's very disproportionate. They weren't making a lot of revenue through email.
It's only 5% of the revenue. Yeah, it's quite low.
Exactly. And they had like 3 people working on their email team internally. And it's like, okay, cool. We came in to update a few things on their flow side, raise their flow revenue from 500 to I think 25K a month. So $500 to 25K a month. And we still weren't able to renew their contract because they didn't want to fire their team, which was probably at least 10K a month. Whereas we were, I think, around like 5 or 6K a month for that retainer. So it's cheaper, better expertise, and you have someone that works in all different types of niches on the e-com side.
So yeah, actually I agree with you because when you hire in the agency in any space, but especially for email and SMS marketing, what we are speaking now, it's really you buy an expertise and experience. You buy people with the experience who are doing that again and again for several cases, not just some store like yours. It's several cases behind their shoulders that they can just really take it and implement it on your end, and it's definitely should work. And according to this, do you remember anything in the past that you were implementing whatever it's working always in other cases, but it didn't work out for some reason? Have you got any kind of cases like that when you done whatever it has to be done and it doesn't work in your experience?
I think specific strategies for a product that is a lower item, a lower price item, has not translated to a higher priced item. I think SMS is very difficult to fit in on a higher ticket item because it's one of those things like, okay, cool. Let's say you're selling a makeup kit and you're in the skincare niche. Okay, cool. You have a new makeup kit drop and it's only like 30 to 40 bucks. That's not really that bad. If you hit someone up on SMS for a purchase, they're more likely to buy because they know they can afford it. And it's like, oh, cool. Why not? Why shouldn't I? Because it's a limited drop. But when you have something like that on more of like a $500 product or $1,000 product and up, it's a lot harder to convey that same exact sales or sales message or sales copy in a short form text that's limited to 120 or 150 characters. And that's one thing that I noticed that just through experience alone doesn't work as well. And I think that's something that we would have to work on more of a different strategy on the SMS side of things, more so reminding them and more on the transactional emails rather than informative sales emails. I think that's where SMS shines for those high ticket brands. Instead of just here, buy this. So
yeah, I believe it's another point of hiring professionals, just good copy. I mean, you can launch different flows, you can watch the YouTube videos and make this setup. It's quite easy, it's not hard, you can spend a couple of days and doing that. But to write the right copy, which gonna sell, which gonna be deliver value, which gonna be build a real warm relationship with your audience. That's one of the real struggle, which is you won't be able to overtake only if you're like genius person in terms of copywriting. And tell me please, Nikita, what's in your opinion copywriting take, what kind of piece of the pie in your success taking the right copywriting?
Yeah, 100%. Copy is super important, but I think design and copy are like 50-50 or maybe 40-60, where copy is important, but also design is important. And you kind of have to play with both of them when you're combining an email, because you can't just have, an image and then copy and then an image and then a copy, because then it looks a little robotic. It looks very templatized. So you kind of have to mesh the two together. And that's where the copywriting is very crucial. One of the big mistakes that we've seen, a lot of the clients that we've audited before, they write way too much in an email. They have like, oh, check us out on this podcast here, check out these new product drops, check out this thing, check out that thing. That's a really big mistake, because when people are seeing this email, they don't know what to focus on. They're like, oh, they get like confused on what the purpose of the email is, so they back out and the performance goes down. And then that's just a big negative feedback loop, because if your performance goes down, then you get lower deliverability, et cetera, et cetera. So one thing that I recommend to everyone that we work with, even if we're not going to work with them, is make sure that every single email that you write out is intentional and has one big topic that you want to convey. And that's one thing that we specialize in, especially in the automation side of things for the welcome flow. A lot of brands have like a 3 to 4 email welcome flow that has 3 to 4 points in each flow, or in each email. So what we do is we break that flow up into maybe 5 to 8 emails that has 1 point per email. And as soon as we do that, we see performance go through the roof, because each person that gets the email, they understand what the purpose of the email is.
And it's creating an engagement.
Exactly. That's exactly true, because the person's going to be reading that email longer, because let's say one is about the founder, one is about the brand, one is about what makes the brand different. Instead of having all of that in one email, you have that separated out. You keep the user engaged, and you teach them about the brand in a very cohesive and slow and easy to understand way.
Okay, and in this case, what do you prefer in general, and what kind of results can you see? The short-term, short text emails, or really long-term stories? According to like you just watching the A/B testing, what's really like you can see that's working the best, or each case is individual?
I would say each case is individual, and it's the best. The best answer I can say, and I think it is the answer that everyone can attest to, is it depends. Because number one, it depends on the intention of the email. If you're trying to sell something, or if it's more of a sales-oriented email, keep it short, sweet. What's the offer? Why are you doing it? What's the intention behind it? It's like, okay, is your company having an anniversary, right? Like 10-year anniversary, great email, keep it short, send it out, and you get more sales from it because it's a sale offer email. But if you're trying to educate the consumer on why your product's different, or what are the 5 benefits of your product, you got to go a little bit longer there, and you got to get creative with how you integrate the copy with the design of the email. So there we've seen way more on the educational side. We've seen way better click-through rates, way better open rates, as well as way better engagement rates because of it being educational. But on the sales side, we've seen better conversion rates because it was purely sales and it was very straight to the point. So I think you have to really balance it out.
What about if to test it out with the copy and it looks like it's a good one, what would be the open rate percentage good for such kind of copy, and how important is the headline in the message itself, like a title of the email for the open rate?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say open rate is actually something that we started to not measure as much recently, mainly because of Apple and iOS 14, when that released. And I think iOS 15 is also messing up with our open rates. we get something ridiculous like an 89% open rate for an email that delivered to Android and got a 50% open rate. Okay. So Apple's privacy is messing up open rates. So I wouldn't use that as a good benchmark or metric for measurement. I would use click-through rate more, as well as deliverability as a good metric, because that is actually something you can track through UTM and whatnot. So as a click-through rate, I would recommend anywhere between like 3 to 5% as like a baseline. And to answer your other question is with the headline, I think a headline is super important because that's what hooks the readers into reading more about the email. And that's where most important information about the email needs to go. So if it's an educational email, it's like the top 5 reasons for X. Or if it's a sale email, that's where you announce like, hey, we're having a flash sale for today. Grab this at X% off.
Does it should be short, or there is supposed to be like maximum, let's say 5-7 words, so like it doesn't matter how long it would be? What is the perfect formula for this kind of titles? Because really it's what's pushing people to press on it. Like, is it supposed to be super short and sharp, or it could be long, whatever we wish?
I think it depends on what you're trying to do here. I know the "it depends" answer is always the hardest to, I guess there's a lot of gray area there. But with the length for the headline, I think one line, like if it takes up one line across, that's the maximum. And if you have to go down to 2 lines, I would just use a subheading for the unimportant stuff. Like, for example, we're having a anniversary sale, get 50% off of these items. And then as a subheading, I would just say plus free shipping. You know, I wouldn't include that into the big headline. So in the actual headline, I would just keep it to the width of the email at most. And if any unimportant information, just keep it as a sub-headline below.
Would you recommend to add the emoji into the headlines, or it's something which is reducing the CTR or deliverability, or actually it doesn't make any difference? You can add it, you can avoid it? Because I heard different opinions about it, and I'm really wondering what's your opinion.
The only thing I could say here is to test it out, because with some clients, it works really well and it engages the customers really well, and we still use it. But for some brands, it's not really working that well, and it actually hurt our deliverability because some email service providers, it looks weird. Like for Outlook is the worst email, email inbox to send out to, because all of their emails are super weirdly formatted, or they reformat everything that we send out. So if you were to send out an emoji to an Outlook inbox, it's going to look like garbage. So it's a test it out. I'd say for the most part, we don't use emojis because we don't really need to. It's been overplayed. But for something that we want to really easily convey or put a specific thought in someone's head, we use it. So I'd say it's 80-20. 80% we don't use it, 20% we do use it.
It's interesting, especially about the different platform. I mean, the different platforms have different layouts. Actually, it makes sense. I never thought about that. And wow, okay. Can you tell me about we are having the different kind of niche brands, different kind of niche stores. Like you said that some of the brands it's working, some it's not. Can you give recommendations on what kind of niches you can see the success with that, and what kind of niches you don't see any luck, as you said?
With emojis, I'd say when you're like anything high ticket, it's very hard to convey that because people aren't buying it because you have a really good subject line or really good emojis in an email. It's very hard to grab that attention. Most of those consumers that are buying higher ticket, they are very education-based consumers, because it's like, how much research do you do before you buy a brand new car? You do weeks of research. You look through cars.com, etc. I'm not saying the next thing, let's say you're buying a canoe. You're going to do a lot of research before you drop $1,000 on a canoe. So you don't really care about the emojis. But when it comes to something like in skincare or makeup or fashion, that is a very low AOV product that you can utilize emojis to get that extra like, ooh, that's really pretty, or ooh, that's really cute, let me go ahead and try these out, and you get that kind of purchase. And then because they had a really good purchase experience before, they keep on purchasing. So I'd say anything under $100, it's okay to use emojis. Anything over, it depends on the niche, or it depends on the kind of audience that you have.
It's interesting. Actually, for it makes sense actually for lower product, people looking just on emojis is pushing them, because it's kind of, let's say, emotional buy, because you cannot buy a car with just emotions. It's 100% makes sense, because regarding that you need to educate them, so to deliver value in their brain, like what's the engine, what's the actually features in the car, and so on. It's 100% makes sense. Nice. Can you tell me how in every, like from, let's say you have 10,000 list of emails, and how many emails average email owner have to receive before he'll make some kind of action? Like he's supposed to receive like 3 to 5 emails, 5 to 10 to really make some action. Open email, move through the link, or so, because you have to build this kind of engagement and trust, and just wondering what's the real process, because like people are listening to us, okay, less emojis for my store because it's low AOV, so okay, make it short and mix it with the pictures, now I will kill it, and they'll test it twice and like, oh, it doesn't work out for me, and move forward. This is the newbies mistakes. So can you educate the guys what exactly is important and what kind of flow they have to follow, and understand how many times there was the same person have to see the email before taking any kind of action, in average, obviously?
I'd say on average, we don't actually look at this number as a statistic, mainly because when we work with a client, our cadence is so consistent. Like we send out 2 emails a week on average per client. Because of the consistent cadence, we don't really have a number that we follow of like, okay, this person got 10 emails they bought. So I'd say if I were to just go off of an average that I think we measured a few years ago, it was like 5 to 10 emails it takes before they buy. But then again, it could also be they saw the welcome pop-up on the website, they entered their email, they got the welcome flow email with the discount code, and they're like, you know what, we got the discount code, why not purchase? And then they purchase straight off that first email. Sometimes they get 3 to 4 emails in that welcome flow, and they're like, okay, I'm ready to buy because I know more about the brand. And sometimes they go through the entire welcome flow, and we send them another 10 emails through the campaign side, and then they're like, okay, now it makes sense to buy, let me go ahead and buy. So I would say just don't look for a specific number, because again, I don't know their specific brand. I don't know what they're doing. They could be sending 20 really bad emails, and that's why people aren't buying. Or they could be sending 2 really good emails, and then they bought. So I'd say, I would say analyze your own data, or at least have us come in and analyze your data, and then we can give you a more accurate answer on that.
Nice. Can you tell me about the emails tracking? Do you see the issues with the tracking of the data? Like, for example, it happened in Facebook, in Google, in TikTok now it's as well. Do you see the cleared data all the time, all the metrics, or you have to use as well third-party systems like Triple Whale or something else, which is going to be able to help you out to track all the data properly?
Yeah, so we honestly haven't had any issues with data tracking, mainly because we go off of click-through rates, or click-based attribution on all of our Klaviyo accounts. And with the clients that do have Triple Whale, we also have it hooked up to their Triple Whale account, so that way we can track it that way. I'd say about 30% of our clients have Triple Whale, so it's not a majority of them. But for the other 70% of clients that we just go through the click-based attribution and use the data from there. Because when you go through view-through attribution, it's very unreliable. You don't know if that was attributed to Facebook, TikTok, Google Ad, etc. We actually had a problem with one of our clients where we generated, I think, $28K for them one month, And then they're like, hey, our Facebook ad agency also generated us this 28K. Like, how do we know what the difference is? And we're like, oh shoot, we forgot to turn on click attribution. And we ended up fixing it, and it was still a really good amount of revenue. It was still like, I think 18K worth of revenue, which was around 30% of their overall revenue. But still, it was a problem nonetheless, but we got it fixed now.
Yeah, it actually makes sense because like as a advertising agency from my side, sometimes it's really like, oh wait, but it shows on Facebook side it's exactly the same what's showing there. So what exactly is correct? So it makes sense, especially when orders coming from pop-up. Like, tell me please, as a email agency owner, your opinion. Is it a good deal for the email agency to make a deal with the e-commerce brand when they're saying, okay, listen, we're going to be working, let's say, on the profit share with you from your email SMS flows, but like we are not accepting the pop-up flow revenue as email revenue because we bring that revenue from the ads, which is means like pop-up, they saw the discount code, they buy it, but they came directly from the ads. As you said, they will buy from the first visit. So nothing related to the email, but at the end, it's kind of part of the email, beginning of email flow, it's pop-ups. So if someone will be telling you, listen, like, no, like we're gonna be working with you on the profit revenue share, but without the pop-up flow, would you accept that? Or it's something which is really like looks unprofessional and unreliable to in your opinion, to the work which you're doing? Or it's completely normal practice that, okay, yes, so we're gonna be just avoiding that kind of flow, and you have to, like, company owner supposed to manage by himself?
I would say I would not agree to that at all because a few things. Number one, the amount of brands that we, like pretty much every single brand that we've onboarded, we've raised their pop-up rates by anywhere to 3 to 5%. So they're getting 3 to 5 more users out of 100 users that visit their website purely because we put in the effort to optimize their pop-up. So number one, we're optimizing more people that are coming through to their email list. Number two, we optimize their welcome flow after the pop-up. So that means they're getting way more revenue because of the welcome flow that we've optimized. So I think it's completely unfair to the email marketing agency to not take any of that revenue collected. If anything, I would say, since automations are mostly one and done, obviously there's optimizations that you do every month based off of data that you get. I would say, if anything, I would take a lower percentage because I know that's where a lot of the revenue comes through, is through the welcome flow and the abandoned cart flow. But I would not agree to taking zero revenue from pop-ups because, number one, we're working on the emails and we're optimizing the pop-ups. So if anything, we're doing a lot of work there for getting zero money.
Yeah, according to your words, I completely agree with you because recently I had this kind of conversation with one of our clients, and like we were talking about email marketing, and like, hey, he's saying like, I don't feel that it's fair to pay the pop-up share because pop-up is giving so many, like, majority of the flow or majority of the revenue, and the guys are just making money for free. And I was like, from the beginning, as an agency owner for another site, which is advertising, I was kind of like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, we'll get the bigger cut. And plus, from another hand, like, we are bringing this traffic. So, like, anyway, that purchase happening because of us. But after that, I realized as well, like, I'm flexible business owner in terms of, I understand the things, how they're working. And like, I remember my stores, and like what is important, that there is a lot of traffic which is procrastinators coming to your site, and they are like, won't be buying if they won't see the discount, or they come in exactly to see the discount, and if discount is there, they will purchase. So it's, and plus, as you said, you're optimizing this kind of pop-up, which is allowed you to, by optimizing the pop-up, it's allowed you to increase the conversion rate with on any kind of first purchases with that kind of sales. And plus, welcome email flow starting from there. It makes sense. And I'm happy to hear this kind of answer, because like now I even have more bullet points, to when I'm speaking to business owners about it. And like, for me, it's not a big deal if email marketing will generate us bigger revenue and I will get, let's say, a bit lower. but at the end we have a nice, super high profitable numbers. So, and client will be stay longer with me, which is in long run, I will win. So definitely, like 100%, I agree with you about that. Tell me, please, are you doing anything about the like digital products, like courses, coaching, email, SMS flows, or you just focusing on the brands in e-com, and or you done that before and you decided to go to the DTC and the e-com brands?
So I'd say 95% of our clients are D2C and ecom, and we only have one client that is in the coaching space. They're a fitness coach. Okay. So they've been kind of grandfathered in because I genuinely love working with them. They're a great team, and we just knock it out of the park every time we work with them. And it's not like a consistent workload. It's consistent as in like every other month they have like a new challenge that they launch, like a fitness challenge or a new sale that they run. So we just work on their emails, on the email side for their launches. And that's what we specialize in. And it's a little bit different than ecom because it's a lot more copy focused. As a coach, you have to do a lot of selling through the copy. There's really nothing visual because it's coaching. It's a coaching program. So on that side of things, I'd say that's the only difference between D2C and coaching. Is coaching, there's a way more copy, way more selling that's involved. On the D2C side, it's way more visual, experience, like trying to have the person or the customer experience the product through the email in a visual way, versus with a coach, you kind of have to mentally have them experience that by reading the copy. So we have done work with coaches, and but mostly it is D2C and ecom.
Got it. And with the ecom especially, I believe that the highest chances for success in terms of not even like, as you said, it's about the visual part, that when you see it, where you like, you want to get it. Copy, you have to read it, and so often in my end, I'm lazy to read the copy, and I feel guilty when some copywriter was working on it for a while, and I'm just lazy to read it. Most probably there is a nice piece of sales content or value content which will push me to buy, but I'm the person who I hate emails, hate long copies to write, and if I will see visual product, most probably I will press on the link if I love it. And according to this particular subject, especially, it's super close supposed to be to you because you work a lot with the copywriters or writing copies by yourself. Like, what kind of place it takes ChatGPT in your company in nowadays? How often you're using AI systems since beginning of 2023?
Man, that is I love that question because it's beforehand we had a copywriter. We had to work on the copy separately from the email design, and we had a whole team. Now we honestly don't need that much of a copywriter at all. If anything, we don't have a copywriter anymore in-house. Number one, because our email marketer has gotten to a point where she can write the copy herself very, very well for ecom brands. And number two is because we actually built an internal tool utilizing the OpenAI API, which is the same exact company that created ChatGPT, to input all the information about the brand, their brand guidelines, their brand voices, keywords to use, keywords to not use, customer pain points, all of the information that most agencies like you and I take on the onboarding call. All of those questions are put in, as well as previous email examples and previous email copy are put in. And all we have to do is generate a prompt saying like, hey, can you write an email about a new way that we're implementing buy now, pay later with Klarna, right? That would be a good email example. And then it would write out the copy entirely, and we would just format it a little bit, and then it's pretty much good to go and good to send out. So we're utilizing it heavy because, number one, it's 90% there. Like, it's 90% to 80% good. It just needs a little bit of proofreading from either myself or from the email marketer. And number two, it's a saved salary position. This tool took us, like $1,500 to $2,000 to build out with a custom developer. And we're paying, I think, like $10 a month in OpenAI credits, as well as the hosting for it. And it spits out copy within seconds.
Yeah, and I believe that it cannot really completely take over the place of the person on the seat, but it helps a lot. Yet. Good. It's very good point. Yet, until we will see 4.0, yeah, the version. But still, like, yeah, for the good machine has to be a great driver. So like, definitely we need to control it. But what is give us, it's really speed up the process to make it easier. And I loved what you said about this tool, because we don't have the tool, but I love this kind of thing, which we just put it in the separate chats. So in the chat, we just put in all the like, hey, this is the brand, study it. What do you think about, what can you say about the brand? So the machine is just giving us the answer. If we understanding that he understood the brand, okay, so here is their voice, their value, their mission, this is their winning ads, this is their blah, blah, blah. And please remember it. And awesome, we have ready to go anytime. When we online, just we can type it in. And it's an amazing tool for the brainstorming. And especially I believe for email SMS marketing, it's a fuel to speed up, to increase the conversion, to like for us in the Shopify stores, conversion rate from really was awful 1.07. We double it in a matter of 24 hours in 2.3 without doing any. We just make couple of tweaks. After that 4, and like really now several stores it's like 3 to 5% conversion rate. It's not brands, it's a drop shipping. So like it's for the dropshipping, it's really good conversion rate. In the brands it could be, but in dropshipping space, like it's quite rare. And really like I love the system, and I love that you implementing, and even you have your own tool and you build it by yourself. So you like hire the copywriter or IT person, like developer, who really implemented everything and connected with all your CRM and your internal systems. Am I right?
Yeah, literally after, so I was a little bit late to the AI train because it came out, November 30th of 22. I didn't get to actually play around with it until after the new year, until like January. Because I don't know, I just was very tied up and very busy in December because holidays, Christmas campaigns, etc. I didn't have time to like sit down and actually play around with it. Played around with it in the beginning of January. And then during Agency Founders, I met Tommy Patterson from Weekend. And he was like, dude, we're doing this, we're replacing our team. I'm like, okay, this is actually something I have to check out. So a week after that, I started studying a lot more and spent I think like 2 to 3 hours a day, just like figuring out how it works, figuring out how we can implement it for our clients, and watching as much content as possible on how to use it properly. And then I reached out to like an old friend that I went to high school with that's now a developer. And I'm like, hey, can you build it out to these specific specifications? And I sent him like a Loom video and a Figma file. And I'm like, hey, can you build it out like this? He's like, hey man, no problem. So he went ahead and started building on it. And we didn't get the finished product until about, I think, halfway through February. And for the last couple of weeks, we've just been playing around with it and utilizing it for, I'd say, half of our clients so far. Eventually we'd want to get it used for all of our clients, and fixing out like a little bit, like a few user bugs. But for the most part, the tool is pretty much bulletproof. It's kind of like ChatGPT, uses the same exact like visual platform. But it's in-house, and
That's awesome. Really, that is awesome. And like if some, like, you know what, for agency owners, if they will know that we're using the ChatGPT or whatever, maybe they'll tell why we need to pay you, like we will be doing by ourselves with ChatGPT, doing that for us instead of you. But it's wrong opinion, because like it means the person don't understand how much attention, how much energy, how much like real time has been spent on creating it, and you won't be able to repeat it just by like, okay, they're using ChatGPT, I will use it as well and I will make it perfect copy. Definitely no, because all the structure and like all the conversation in the way with ChatGPT and the way going, like, you know that it will work out, you know it will follow you in the right conversation. Because if you're gonna be asking the basic questions, it will give you basic ideas, basic answers. But if you go deeper in terms of
Yep.
the brand which you are following, you're really gonna be getting the bullet point answers. Love it, really. I'm happy that like in matter of 2 months you were able to create the tool which is now like working for the clients. Amazing.
I think the best
Yeah.
part of it is when we get to a point when a client kind of finds out about ChatGPT or like AI copywriting by themselves, and they're like, "Hey, have you guys been doing it? How are you guys doing it?" It's like, "Well, man, we've been using it for the last 3 months for your email campaigns, and you haven't noticed." Like that is my favorite part. Or we haven't had it happen yet with a client, but I know it's gonna happen in the next at least once this year, where a client's like, "Hey, have you guys used it at all?" It's like, "Yeah, man, you haven't noticed." You know, but like that's the point. Like they're not supposed to notice the difference because number one, it speeds up our copywriting process like by hours a month per client, and number two, it's still the same exact end product. And I think when it comes down to people paying us, they're not paying us for the copy, they're not paying us for the design, they're paying us to increase their
end
revenue
result,
and they're paying us for the strategy. Exactly, the end result.
I agree with you. Like, and it means that you will able to deliver them the faster setup. So when they join you, they know that it will happen in a matter of couple of days, not couple of weeks. Because seriously, like you need to do the research, especially if it's some kind of specific brand. The media buyer or like copywriter in the email industry has to done the deep research to understand, read the forums, read the comments on the YouTube channels, like go through the Amazon reviews. It's so much work has to be done, and here like deliverability in matter, let's say 3 to 4 days instead of couple of weeks or 10 days. Like I believe that end result the most important, and if the guy is done well, doesn't matter what kind of tools they were using. And especially it shows that you moving with the space on exactly how it should be on the right time. So like you are doing the work on the way which is going to be working for several years. And who is not using that?
Yeah, we're not fighting
exactly
it.
Who is going to be not using that for next year? They're going to be out of the business soon because they will be too slow, and they will be charging even more because there is a salaries behind. So it's going to be a lot of minuses which will be hold them back, and nothing can be returned. Love it, man. Seriously love it. Tell me one of the few more questions, one regarding the technical part. Give the suggestions, like let's say top 3 suggestions, what to change or what kind of checklist to make to improve the deliverability of the emails. Because I know in our end we had a huge issue with that, we fixed it, but I want just to share with the audience from your end, from your experience, what top 3 points would you check and improve to make sure that deliverability has been increased?
Okay, so there's a lot of ways that you could do it. The first thing I would do, like this isn't even a tip, it is a tip, but it's not a thing that you implement exactly on your emails. This is more so like getting a canary in the coal mine type. I would recommend creating 2 to 3 email accounts on Yahoo, on Gmail, on Outlook, and subscribe all of those like 9 in total email accounts to your email list. And the next time you send out an email, check all of those 9 accounts to see where that email landed. Was it in spam? Was it in promotions? Was it actually delivered? And see exactly and also see exactly how the emails look like on each specific email platform. Because like I mentioned to you earlier, Outlook looks like crap for most emails because of the way that they format things differently than Gmail and Apple and Yahoo. So I would first do that because that is a good litmus test to see exactly how your emails are performing as well as where do they end up. Next up, as an actual tip, is compress all of your images. A lot of brands, when we go through their email account, all the emails are very heavy because they just upload the image from their computer because they have it on their computer. And that image is very heavy because, let's say it's like a 2000 by 2000 pixel image. That's going to be a couple megabytes. You want your email to be under 100 kilobytes ideally for peak deliverability, and so that way it loads fast when a person opens up the email. If it doesn't load fast, a person's just going to bounce out of that email telling the email service provider like Google or Yahoo that this person does not engage with your emails and they're not going to deliver your emails as well further on. So number one, compress all your images. Number two, add alt text to your images. That's another thing with readability and deliverability. Number two, I guess, would be look out for keywords that are not, that aren't good for email, like spammy keywords. There's a big list. If you look up email spam keyword list, you will get like a ton of articles that have like 300, 400 word lists of words that you should be avoiding in your subject line or words that you should be avoiding in your, in your body text of your emails, because those will end up either in spam or they would just be undelivered and sent to the promotions box, depending on the verbiage that you use. So that's tip number two. Tip number three is the amount of visual assets that you have on your email. This one is difficult because each brand would like to have a very highly visual email opposed to just text, because the visual identity is what helps sell the product, as well as it's what helps the user identify where the email came from. Like a Lululemon email is going to be completely different than, let's say, an email from Coca-Cola, because Coca-Cola is going to use red, Lululemon's going to be using black and white mostly. So the visual assets that you use, you want to make sure that you're using it sparingly. You want to make sure the email isn't just like a full-on image. You'd want to have it broken up between text, image, or visual asset with text combination. Because the more images you have on your email, or the more call to actions, or the more links you have, that shows to Google or Yahoo or Apple, whoever is getting the email, that, okay, this email has a ton of images, has a ton of links. It's unnatural for someone, like, let's say if I were to send one email from myself to you, it's going to be completely different because of the amount of code that is on the back end of this email. Okay, this looks like a promotional email, so it's going to be very promotional. Or it's got all these promotional things on it, and it's got these weird words on it. It's probably going to be spam, so we're going to put it in spam. So those visual assets dictate how your email is going to be delivered, because an email that I write for myself to you is just going to have one paragraph, maybe a link, and maybe one photo, which is my headshot, and that's it. So Google's going to be like, okay, cool, that's just a normal email conversation between Nikita and Anatoliy, and it's going to deliver it to your inbox. So I'd say those three things are the biggest things that we look out for: is image size. First off, getting a litmus test on the deliverability, the image size, image alt text, as well as the assets that you have implemented on your email design itself.
Awesome. Really great suggestions, and couple of them I really didn't think about. Another one, I was studying and understand what's our mistake and we were fixing, but the couple of things were really something new. So really this thing is working. So guys and girls, if you're listening us and you are not sure why your email marketing with the good copywriting is working not in the best way as it should, it could deliver more, even the simple flows without professional flows, even offers. This kind of idea about double check with the 9 separate emails, completely separate companies, it's 100% make sure you have to 100% make sure to change that, to check it and make the work on the fixing these issues. And I believe company like Aspects from the Nikita, it's one of the good companies who maybe will be able to help you out with that. The number one thing to fix the deliverability before even working on the professional flows. Love it. Nikita, I have a last question to you, really, which is I'm asking everyone on the podcast, and maybe if you're a listener, so maybe you already know that question, but we're asking everyone. So if you're okay, I will ask you as well. Yeah?
Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. So what would you choose, the journey or end result?
I would choose the journey 100%, because I think the amount of, my end result has always been build a successful business, build $1 million business. That's been my goal for the last 5 to 6 years that I've been in business. And I haven't hit that yet, but I'm working on it. And the amount of things that I learned over the last 6 years not only for myself personally, but also for my business, the employees that I've hired, the team that I've built up, as well as people that I've met along the way, like yourself and everyone that I meet at these like conferences that we go to. It's truly priceless. I think that itself outweighs the dollar amount that you get at the end, or whatever your goal is at the end, because of the things that you do along the way.
Love it. Yeah, like it's as well my choice, the journey, and the thing what you just mentioned, that really meeting the different people on the way to your end results, it's one of the pleasure on the journey. Really, like have this kind of networkings, meet the same mindset people, maybe future collaborators, partners. It could bring you a lot of potential results, and plus fun in general. Like it's cool to meet people in your industry. Amazing. So
the flexibility, honestly,
yeah.
The flexibility of this journey, because sorry to
No,
cut you off,
good.
but I was gonna say, like, who else in, like, let's say if you were working, like for me, the goal is to always, have a big business, but also have the flexibility of doing whatever I want. Like, who else can say that's like working a normal job? They can record a podcast at like 11 in the afternoon on a, Thursday. No one can do that. They would have to take time off or, do whatever. Whereas here, like, I have the flexibility and the freedom to not only provide value on your podcast, but also help other people that are listening to it on a day where I usually would be working if I was working like a 9 to 5 or something.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's exactly our industry, e-commerce or just online space. And the thing is that it's a future of the workflow process in general. I see the future. Obviously, the governments won't allow us, but I see the kind of future where is majority of people are working for themselves, and in the same time they're working for different companies. So you are the email employer for 10 or 50 different companies, but at the end you're the business owner. That's how I see that. All the employers could be their own business owners, and it depends how big their customer list would be. It depends if they are good entrepreneurs as well. So it means, you could be employer and working for 3-4 companies, and already your life completely changed. You're flexible, you have more income if you would be working only for one company. And how many developers, IT people working in this way now? They're employers, they are not the entrepreneurs, but they have 3-4 companies. I know personally of guys who moved after the war to Portugal, and they are like 3-4 companies. They're making great income, but they are not business owners. They are employers. So this is the future, definitely, for economics around the world, that it's going to be going that way. I see that on that way because it's the most logical. And then you're working much better if you would work only on one job, because you have the life which you wish. You have a great income and you're excited about the work, because it's not the one boring thing. You have several projects to work with, and it's make you excited every single Monday. So definitely love your words. And regarding, like, I will share your details with all the guys out there on our social media platforms, so you guys will be able to press on the link to go to the website, send DM on social medias. But maybe you can offer something for our audience if they will be texting to you and they are e-com brand owners. Maybe you can help out to them. Would you like to give some special offer?
Well, we do have a special offer for everybody that comes to our website. I don't know if I guess this would be the first time I'm announcing it because we literally launched it today. We're giving away a free email marketing audit. Doesn't matter the size of your brand, doesn't matter how big you are. You just go on our website, aspectagency.com, which is ASPEKT, which is kind of like in the video if you see it, agency.com/audit. Or you go to the top of the navigation bar, you'll see it says free audit. Fill in some info about your store basics, and again, doesn't matter the size. We'll provide you with a free comprehensive audit on things that you could improve on the email marketing and SMS marketing side of things.
Awesome. So you heard, guys, it will be free audit call. So if you have results on your end and you're not sure if they're going in the right way, highly recommend you to just go on the website, which is as well going to be the link added under the bio of this podcast. And please book a call and see what guys can suggest you. It doesn't mean that you have to buy something. It's a free audit, and I would definitely use it if I would be on your place. Nikita, I would say thank you so much for being on the podcast. And seriously, like I got personally a couple of good points, which is gonna be helping me out to understand email marketing better in the future. And I love email marketing in my end, and we implement that. But like for the audience who was listening to us, definitely it's supposed to be a lot of golden nuggets from your feedbacks, and plus this audit which you offered is going to be super useful for them. Appreciate you to be on the podcast and for your time, especially noon during the working hours. So we're gonna be speak soon, and guys and girls, if you have any kind of questions, please leave them below, and we're gonna be answering to you and deliver as much value as we can, as always. Have a good day. Take care. Thank you, Nikita. Bye bye.